Did you see the announcement that the Space Force are going to be called the Guardians?
No way. Is that
Yeah,
true?
Pence tweeted that the Space Force people who are involved are now the Guardians.
That is totally incredible. I love it. It's my favorite thing the administration has done. The Space Force, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So instead of being called an astronaut, will you be called a guardian?
Hmm.
If you, yeah, that's just amazing. Yeah.
Because they're not explorers or doing science for the sake of science. They're there to fight wars with aliens.
Yes, right. The Space Force. Yeah. So we are moving. I mean, I'm thinking back to when Reagan had his like Star Wars defense plan, and how that was doing the same thing, sort of trying to draw on these popular connotations with Star Wars, and like right now we're in like this era of super high tech where we can wage war out in space. So it's a similar idea, right? It's like just drawing on these sort of pop culture references to, yeah, let's go get those
It's
aliens.
so weird. Yeah. Um, so
Did you ever, Eric? Do you know?
yeah.
Do you know the theory of the Great Filter? Have you ever heard this?
Oh, that's in regards to like why civilizations can't migrate to space.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That,
yeah, I
that's
love that
that's my
stuff.
favorite thing these days. Yeah.
The
Right.
and there's like theories on what is the filter that's going to keep us from leaving our solar system. I personally think that it's the Oort cloud. I think that you know what the Oort cloud is. It's just basically like we're kind of in the sun's bubble, the magnetic, its own magnetosphere. And beyond that is the Oort cloud, which I think is kind of a barrier. I think that's going to be tough for us to get through.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. I think it's just that it's hard to imagine our civilization or any civilization getting to the point where the technology that could carry us to distant worlds could develop, because we will destroy ourselves long before that can happen. So it would just be like our own, you know, worst tendencies that will, and I think that's the part of that theory that I really like, is that the reason there are no aliens is that no one can get to that point of technology, because
Yeah.
eventually every society destroys itself as it gets too advanced.
Yeah, that's very likely, and I could totally see humans falling into that. I remember like watching the one of the Avengers movies. I think it was Infinity War, and Tony Stark goes to another planet for the first time in all these movies. He'd never been to outer space, and he comes across one of the Guardians of the Galaxies, and Tony says, "Who are you with?" And the guy says, "What do you want me to say, Jesus?" And immediately he's like, "Oh, you're from Earth," and that made me realize, oh yeah, we're not going past our solar system, like because it just hit me. I'm like, this is cool, but where I don't know. Immediately, my mind went to all the people who are willing to wage war for nonsensical reasons, or even people like some of my own family members who think that it's against God's will for us to even be out in space anyway. It's going
Oh
to be a
wow,
tough
yeah,
fight to get beyond our own solar system.
that's really interesting. Why would it be against God's will for us to be in outer space?
I don't know the logic. I
Okay.
separated from the religion. I came up with a mom who she kind of did a lot of religion hopping, different Christian sects, and it got more conservative and more conservative and more conservative. And by the time I was 21, just stopped. I'm like, I gravitated towards studying the scientific method and reading books, kind of about astronomy and things like that. And so I don't get the logic behind it. I think there's this idea where it's God's earth, and he put us there here, and we should stay. And I don't get it at all.
Yeah, sure. No, right, okay. That
Do you
yeah, having
know how much we have obtained simply from just all the technology that was developed during the space race? Basically, made the 21st century possible. I mean,
Yeah.
it's remarkable.
Yeah, I wonder if something similar. Like I always feel like if the country had something like that to rally around, you might see a similar like explosion of innovation. But since the country is like such a divided mess now, it's impossible to imagine anyone rallying around anything just universally. But it does seem like that's just how you get these like major leaps forward instead of the regular crawl. But yeah, the space race, those were the good old days.